1689 AD. Parish registers of Cornwall in England record a most shocking death. A miner is literally incinerated deep underground by a massive inferno. The culprit? Gunpowder, placed there by this very miner. An unidentified text from the time describes what happened.
The gunpowder is in an instant kindled. The expanded fluid drives before it a roaring whirlwind of flaming air which tears up everything in its path.
While no one realizes it at the time, the dead man's name will go down in history as someone who died revolutionizing the mining industry.
Thomas Epsley, the man who brought that rare invention of shooting rocks, was killed at the mine on the 16th day of December of our Lord Christ, 1689.
In Thomas Epsley's time, mining was done purely by hand. Epsley pioneered explosive mining, which would increase output in Great Britain by up to 100 times just 12 months after his death. Yet his mixture contained a fatal flaw. A flaw that has remained hidden for over 300 years. The roots of the mystery begin on the coast of Cornwall in England at Poldark, an ancient tin mine, parts of which have remained untouched for over 2,000 years. Mining historian Darren Osborne is reopening the mining case files.
Well, mining tin is hard work. It's dangerous work. You actually have to break the rock. You take the rock to surface, it's crushed, it's washed and smelted to recover the metal. The life expectancy of a miner in Poldark would be in the region of about 36. The chances of getting much older than that are fairly slim.
Tin miners of Poldark were faced with a seemingly impossible challenge: how to mine through granite, the world's fourth hardest rock, with nothing but a pole pick.
The pole pick goes at least 2,000 years back. Using the pole pick, you can go through the ground somewhere in the region of 1 inch to 3 inches a day. I mean, that is phenomenally hard work and very, very slow progress.
Miners were reduced to tunneling just 30 feet a year. Slow progress was compounded by the fact that at any moment their candle could go out.
When the candles go out, you're left in total darkness. It's complete. Not like being at night when you're outside and you can see just a few stars and you can just see the edge of the lawn. Darkness is complete. You cannot even see your hand in front of your face. You could walk around for quite a long time in what would be absolutely terrifying conditions trying to find your way out of the mine.
Into these primitive conditions stepped Thomas Epsley, a man whose innovations would later make England the workshop of the world. Epsley sought to transport the terrifying firepower of Renaissance artillery into the mines.
The gunpowder turns the mine into an enormous piece of artillery and wastes its fury in a discharge of thick clouds of dust, stones, and timber.
But Epsley faced a lethal problem: how to transform a battlefield killing machine into a material able to blast through solid granite.
Thomas Epsley is not a particularly well-known character outside of mining circles, but in terms of what he did, it was quite important. He brought black powder, gunpowder to most people, into Cornish mining.
To mine with gunpowder safely, Epsley needed a method that delayed the gunpowder explosion. His solution was to transform the feathers of goose quill into a delayed detonator.
The main fuse that was used was the goose quill. They would have a series of goose quills stacked together, filled with black powder, and when you light the end of that, it will burn at a fairly irregular rate, hopefully giving you long enough time to get away.
At Camborne Test Mine in Cornwall, Gus Chambers, a miner with over 30 years' experience, is set to carry out an experiment that will illustrate why Thomas Epsley's prototype went disastrously wrong. First, Gus needs to bar down, an ancient mining technique Thomas Epsley would himself have used to check the safety of the blast site. If the rock creates a ringing sound, it means the structure is secure. But A drumming noise means that the rock is critically unstable.
The main danger is not from the explosive that you've just blasted. It's from the physical effects on the rocks and the faults in the rocks. And you have to make sure the rock is competent, and you do that by bringing down any loose rock. And then when that's all safe, you can get on with charging the holes back up again.
The shaft cleared for blasting. Gus drills a 4-inch hole in which to place the gunpowder.
Before we can actually blast, we need a void or a hole to put the charge in. So what we're doing is drilling the holes first, and then we will charge the hole up with explosive to blast later.
Another quill.
Gus and his team lay the charges in the hole, just as Thomas Epsley would have done 3 centuries before them. The team have calculated that they will have 20 seconds to clear a 100-yard blast area. Now is the moment to find out if those calculations are correct. Captured at 2,000 frames per second, the gunpowder ignites at temperatures of over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The granite is blown to pieces, completing 6 days of work with a pole pick in just half an hour.
It was half a stick with about 1/3 of a metre of rock to blast away, and because we used high explosive in that blast, it was quite effective in throwing the rock across the drive.
But the experiment also reveals intriguing clues to Thomas Epsley's mysterious death. The goose quill fuse clearly burnt at an uneven rate, meaning that it would have been impossible for Epsley to calculate the burn time accurately.
The knowledge of the use of black powder at the time was fairly limited. It wasn't uncommon for people who were considered to be experts to end up on the wrong end of an explosion.
A sudden acceleration in the fuse burn may have caused a surprise explosion, crushing Epsley beneath up to 600 pounds of rock.
Thomas Epsley's death would have been unpleasant, that's for sure. We don't know how much powder they were letting off at any one time at that period, but you can be pretty sure that you've got an awful lot of rock flying around. So you imagine the force of rock being blasted and just cutting you to ribbons, really.